Yeah, baby. Yeah. Yeah, let's find the angle. There it is. The Mac is back. Back with another demo review. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Junikala, and today I am excited beyond belief because we're looking at Afflatus, I don't know how you pronounce that, from Strezov sampling. Last time we did a video on Wotan and Freya, which I've had for years and I absolutely love and use all the time. And I sent that video to Strezov Sampling and said, hey, I'd love to demo more of your stuff if you're interested. And they were kind enough to send me this and one of the percussion libraries, which I'm also going to demo. So this is a library that's been on my radar ever since it was released. When it came out, I was thrilled because by then I had been in love with the choir libraries, and I thought, wow, if they bring this same thing to a string ensemble, I'm sold. And obviously they are known for these kind of performance focused sampling approach, which I tend to love companies who do that. It brings more soul, more humanity, more sort of organic quality to the samples. And the way they described this, I was really excited about it. The only reason I didn't buy it back then was the price tag. So full priced, let me jump into the browser here. Full priced, this is 799 euros. Right now, it's on sale. It's 399 euros and 50 cents. And if you have to pay value added tax, then that comes on top, but virtually half priced. With that kind of a price, I would be considering this hard. Obviously, we'll see what I think at the end of this, because I haven't played this almost at all. Literally played a few notes on this first patch just to set the level for the limiter, but otherwise this is completely uncharted territory for me. I've only heard demos of this. I've seen videos, and some of the stuff I immediately love, some of the stuff I'm like, oh, okay, let's see what that is like. So you'll be getting my authentic, honest response to this, as I've not played it any more than a few notes. Afflatus, I don't know how you pronounce that, but apparently means a divine creative impulse or inspiration. So strange looking word, cool meaning. Yeah, this sale is going on until, let me check the date, 6th January 2023. So if you happen to be looking at it right now, then go check it out. Consider that. Obviously, they sent me this copy, but as always, all opinions, both good and bad, are my own. I haven't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that. Goes against my beliefs. They just sent me a copy. They looked at my Wotan and Freya demo and apparently liked it enough for me to receive this this copy here. You'll only be hearing Afflatus as it is. As always, I have a limiter on my master bus to make sure the level is decent for this video. I will have to be adjusting that limiter as we go along because the levels of the patches do fluctuate a bit. So if you see me play with the mouse here and be quiet in between the playing, that's me adjusting the limiter. But yeah, overall, I absolutely love the philosophy behind this library. They're very sort of creativity focused, performance focused. Everything about it in terms of the philosophy really clicks with me. So it's interesting to see whether the sound aligns with that. And I love this is a very side note, obviously has nothing to do with the sound of it, but I absolutely love the look of this. I love the anime artwork, and it obviously, well, anime. This is a still picture. So, but I love the art style, and they've done individual art styles for these different presets and patches. One of the things you're going to notice, one of the things I learned from the demos and stuff, is that many of these presets or patches have sort of, baked in sounds layered, and there's a lot of different stylistic stuff in here apparently. So, and I love that because again, it can give you more instant inspiration, and I love these kind of approaches because they seem sort of more creativity, inspiration, sort of musically inspiring approaches. I do tend to be someone who prefers their stuff sort of modular, and then I combine it myself. But if this is done well, this approach that they've chosen, then that can be tremendously inspiring, and it can land you in places that you would never land without it. But I think that's enough talking for this part. When you open Afflatus up, you have combinations, ensembles, violins 1, 2, violas, violoncello, basses, experimental, and pads. So apparently before these kind of how everything was laid out was a bit convoluted and confusing, but none of that seems to be present here. This actually seems like a very good way, in my estimation, to lay things out. So one of the things I learned is that they clearly take in the feedback and learn from it and adjust as they should. I think every single company should be doing that, and lets you know that they actually care about improving the product and giving you as the user the best user experience that you can. But we are just going to go all the way through. I think this is probably the best order to go through this demo. So we're in combinations now, and we have already opened Arrival Strings. So let's play them. Bit of limiter clipping there. I really like this sound. You can really, again, this is super inspiring because it's already a pretty strongly pre-made decision to play that way. So that can inspire a cue, and in fact I probably will do something with it. One of the things I notice is that first of all, tremendous range of dynamics here, but it's super smooth how it goes through all of that. Yeah, a lot of dynamic range there. it's a really cool, inspiring thing. One of the things I wish it did, and I'm not sure about the mechanical workings of this, how much I can tune it, at least from this interface, not much, but I dare not dive deeper into this for the sake of time and also not, you know, fucking something up. But I wish it kind of like, if I held notes, or rather if I was doing like a melody line, I would prefer the first note to be this kind of, you know, bend upwards, and then if I continued a melody line, it would actually stay like as a normal, normally played part. But again, you can obviously layer that with another preset or another patch, but something to think about. Also, it would probably be pretty difficult to determine or interpret what you want to re-trigger and what you wouldn't, but also a beautiful soft sound to this. Ensemble shorts. Let's see what this is like. Wow, that sounds stunning. You know, I've been chasing like great spiccato, like short string samples for a long time, and always like looking into the horizon, wishing something else would kind of slide in and be the perfect plug to what I'm looking for. But this sounds really good. It's so soft, polished, punchy. It's a pleasure to play. This is super responsive, which is really exciting to notice, because with Wotan and Freya, like the results are stunning, but sometimes when you play, it kind of feels like there's a tiny bit of a gap between the responses, and you need to sort of feel it out to make it sit perfectly. I know that that's a piss poor description, but sometimes you kind of feel like, oh, you need to listen to the singers to kind of respond to that. And in one way, it is tremendously inspiring because, as I've said before, I really do enjoy libraries that make you as a composer respond to what you're hearing. And that's kind of what's happening with Wotan and Freya. But also a part of it is like, oh, I need to kind of, you're handling this delicate thing and kind of trying to guide it into the right place. In truth, it's really just that could be largely perceptional. So it's much of that issue is just in my head. But these are super playable and they sound so good. I love how in this low end it begins to become this kind of a gritty and raspier, and I actually love that when it comes to strings, because oftentimes the low end sample library developers want to make it kind of massive and meaty and maybe even boomy, but I often find that I'd rather reserve that range for transitional effects or even percussion, obviously, depending what you're doing. But this sounds like it's big and meaty and gritty and raspy enough. So it's really going to punch through a mix without taking the space from, effects, or transitional effects, risers, or just percussion. And what a tremendous amount of dynamic range here. Again, I think to my taste, the relationship between the dynamic I play on the keyboard is perfect in relation to how it's responding, because sometimes that tends to be a bit off to my taste. That's obviously a subjective call, depends on your keyboard. I have a Doepfer PK88, so for this, with the settings I have for it, this is just really, really good. Sound is pretty much perfect. Like, okay, I'm a broken record here. You get the point. It sounds stunning. I could play that for days, and obviously I played it for long enough already. Lush Strings KS key switch, I think, Legato. Let's see where the key switches are. Looks like here, but interested in seeing what this sounds like, because I've found that a lot of the legatos I've heard aren't exactly my favorite thing about this. The shorts have been just stunning in demos, but I was blown away by what I just played. So really interested in seeing the legatos here. Okay, that's a lot better than what I was prepared for. Simply, I don't know why, what it is about a lot of the videos I've seen. It's just they haven't been capturing my attention, but this sounds a lot better. I'll try and do some single line melody stuff first. What I do notice straight up is there's a lot of slack in the dynamic range here, to my taste. It's kind of slow to respond. On one hand, you could say, oh well, that's more resolution for the dynamic and you can get more and more control, but this is a lot. But let's play a bit more. See what I mean? It's kind of like I'm doing pretty hefty movements here, but it's still kind of slowish, the response. So that could be a bit more aggressive to my taste, but at least as a first impression. But that I really like this tone. Okay, so really loving the tone, really pleasant to listen to. That's going to sit in a mix super nicely, super easily. Again, based on the demos, the reviews, the stuff that I saw, this legato is a lot better. Now, one of the most important things to focus on here is that it is polyphonic, so you can actually play things, other notes at the same time. A lot of the time when you listen to legato patches, they are just, you can literally just play one note, so monophonic. So would I, when I listen to the patch in Freya with the slow legato, which sounds stunning, obviously there's a lot of lag in that one, so it's hard to play, if not, well, not impossible, hard to play in real time. Would I love to see a version of that slow legato here with that same sound quality? Yes, absolutely. Because if I was doing single, melody line monophonic stuff, would that added maybe 30% realism be worth it? I'd say absolutely yes. This already sounds really good. With good orchestration, good arrangement, it's going to sound stunning. Would I love the option of that monophonic legato with that maybe added third of realism? I would love that, because to me it sounds like this has everything it needs to get there. I think based on my very limited knowledge and experience, it is a scripting or programming issue, because the samples are stunning, and if they've programmed this legato or recorded the legatos and programmed them in here, it's probably possible to tweak it and make it slightly more realistic. And I don't know how much of the polyphonic element kind of eats at the realism. I know that I think George, who if I'm not mistaken is the founder of Strezov sampling, I've heard him say that he loves to write in this sort of polyphonic way, which obviously if you harmonize fast and do that, then it makes sense. Would I then prefer to jump into the monophonic legatos and do them individually? Or you don't even have to do that. You could just take the MIDI and send it to different places, and then voila, you would have the result. But would that, I think the polyphonic nature of it affects the realism of it. So yeah, I would love to see that kind of a Freya slow legato type of a solution here, because I think it would just make this insane. But that legato is really good. Like, that's very usable, very realistic. Just missing that tiny bit that I think would come through the making it that kind of a slow legato or monophonic. Beautiful top end. Again, this is something that I mentioned in the performance sample specific video, which I think is the case here as well, which is that the top end easily gets very kind of piercing and excessively airy, but this sounds powerful, airy, present, but it doesn't become unpleasant. This is really good to play, really good to listen to. One of the things I love about this is the fast notes on this are really, really good. They're better than most of the monophonic legato patches or presets that many other companies do. This is really, really well done. So yeah, great stuff. Yeah, just in some of those kind of maybe slower lines, you can hear that tiny bit of kind of transitional smoothness that I'm still yearning for. But yeah, would it be cool to see those kind of hyper realistic slow legatos? Okay, let's move on before I spend all day playing this. Again, this sounds so pleasant. It's so well balanced. Minimalist Strings Legato. Again, same thing here. Just going to bump up the limiter a tiny bit. You can hear that kind of those transitions aren't as smooth and realistic as I would hope. But I can also hear that in the context of a full mix. I would probably not notice that. And again, the sound is so pleasant. It is realistic. It's just that tiny bit of something there. And I think it is that polyphonic aspect of it. And again, you can see that you can do pretty hefty movements with the mod wheel for the dynamics here. But again, you get used to it, and I don't know, like once you get used to it, it's might maybe be preferable, because a lot of the time you have to be super precise with a lot of libraries. But yeah, this tone is really, really pleasant. Yeah, once you go polyphonic, this makes a ton of sense. Like it does sound really, really, really solid. Wow, that is captivating, genuinely captivating. Yeah, I think this might, be like, you can definitely hear their preference to as they build this library, they want to make it in their own image, and if they love scoring this way, then this makes a lot of sense. But it does sound, it to me, just what I played now, it filled in the missing 20-30% of that realism, and I think it's due to the nature that it's done in this polyphonic manner. But that sounded super good. Okay, yeah. This this sounds so sweet, and now I'm getting into the inspiration part of this, because again, one of the big things they talk about in their the description of this, the marketing of this, is that it's made from the perspective of getting inspired and creating music and feeling emotion and taking that and then writing with it. And I'm definitely feeling it here. This sounds really like it does inspire the heck out of me. I do want to play the Lush strings in the same way, just a tiny bit. I know we're going slow. I'll pick it up, but I'm just too excited about this. Okay, interesting. So this one definitely works better with the legato monophonically, and this one with the minimalist works better for the polyphonic. There, to my ear and taste, there's a distinct difference. Minimalist strings Tenutos. Tiny textural details in there, which sound great. Again, I'm starting to get a bit of like neck muscle spasms. So if I do stretch and move about, that's because of it. And if I look like I'm in pain, then I probably am. And I'll try and work against that. These are called Psychatto strings shorts. Bit intense on the limiter. That sounds really sweet. The balance, the imaging, the texture is perfect. So this is, again, super inspiring. They've obviously, these are layered samples combining probably different string sections, different octaves. Has a very distinct texture to that. But this, again, this is instantly inspiring to me. It's like, oh, that specific sound, which takes me down a road, makes me want to write in a certain way. But this is super, the imaging, oh, this, oh. Wow, that sound is perfect. Just the balance of the sound, the imaging, the reverb, the texture, everything. This is, and it's such a pleasure to play. I could play that all day. It's such a pleasure. It responds so well, behaves so well, sounds so stunning. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the control and the dynamics are stunning. I'm not playing very well, as you can hear, but just there's so much control there. That is so good. Okay, we have to move on because otherwise I'm just going to play that all day. Signe d'amour. My French is non-existent, so sorry about that. Legato. Let's bump up this limiter. Okay, I'm so excited. Like, I feel super inspired. Well, we've gone through what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of these, and yeah, wow, that's Let's do some solo stuff first to bump up the gain here. Yeah, that sounds really good. I wonder if you slightly overlap these, because I did that kind of accidentally and sounded more realistic to me. Yeah, definitely some of the transitions sound more realistic. So I wonder, like, how much of what is actually triggering that, because there's a massive difference there. You can hear like there's a gap between. Obviously that's my playing, because it's not not mindlessly, but what's the word? It's not out of pure spite trying to make it sound like something. So I wonder if it is the slight overlap. Probably is. The velocity is probably one of those things. Like the legato sounds really good. There are those tiny moments in there where you're like, like it sounds slightly like a noticeable shift, and you wish it was kind of more realistic, textural, smoother. But I don't know how much of that is due to my playing, as per the example we just did there. But let me, first of all, the tone of this is stunning. And again, like, I feel like I want to write music with this, which is the main point of what we're trying to do. So I'll try and do some polyphonic stuff here and see how that goes. So that's interesting. Like when the legatos sound at their best in a monophonic mode, it sounds not as good in polyphonic legato to me. Whereas where the minimalist legatos sound better in polyphonic, but not as great in as an individual melody line. That's kind of interesting. Obviously, first of all, in the defense of this, what I just played was really shitty stuff and not arranged in the ways I would do for a string section, but especially for this kind of a sound. But this is something I've noticed, and I will stick to that observation, because it is, you know, something that I've repetitively noticed now. Tenutos. Beautiful response to the dynamic, the velocity here. Beautiful, responsive, evocative sound. Let's do the next one. SulPont Strings, key switching. I'm gonna close the drapes here because it's getting so dark that if someone is stalking me, I can't actually see them. Kind of weird to keep a window open if it's pitch black outside. SulPont. Limiter adjustment incoming. Definitely has a harder sound to this. There's less of a dynamic range here, and once you start pushing it, it kind of pushes and pushes. It's kind of difficult to keep it delicate. You can definitely do it here down in the lower zone, but this feels very kind of a lot harder overall than the other ones. Kind of maintains that harder tone to it, so pretty difficult to do delicate stuff with that. The mouse strings Pizzicato, this one I remember from a demo and it sounded really good, so yeah, really good. If you're going for that kind of a pizzicato sound, that's pretty tough to beat. And again, extremely playable. So those were the combinations. Super impressed by that. Ensembles. Okay, Barbaric Strings shorts. This one I remember also, and it sounded really good there. So let's test it out. Really texturally rich. Again, perfect, you know, spectrum, frequency spectrum balance. Imaging is beautiful. It is obviously very heavy on the texture of the transients, but that's kind of the idea. That is super. And again, it's such a pleasure to play. Like, oftentimes the spiccatos, if there's any kind of or like a fast note, oftentimes if there's any kind of a lag, really hard to do fast things with it. Like with Pacific, like the spiccatos sound amazing, but there is that lag. So doing that in real time, playing for my brain, it is tough. But these are like super sharp, really pleasant to play. Really cool. Christmas Strings Legato. Again, this legato, monophonically, just one melody line, sounds really nice. So, my theory of the polyphonic part of this, does it sound as realistic? We'll test. It's actually a lot better to my taste. A few of the points entirely my fault of playing crappily, so take that for what it's worth. Yeah, I really actually like that, and that responds well. Some of these balances I would have to go in there individually and tweak the level. The level is really something that affects the sense of realism a lot. So if I play these kind of, obviously now I'm controlling the velocity here, which tremendously kind of affects the realism and the overall level. So I would really prefer to go in here and make the lowest notes quieter. But I think that would do a lot. So those the lack of fluctuation there, that it stays too static, that oftentimes creates that sense of, you know, something being off or too sterile. And sometimes when you add this kind of a cyclical nature to the sample itself, there's like a natural texture change there, and maybe even a tiny level change. That kind of does it for you. So maybe, you know, this could benefit from that as well. Contemporary Strings Spiccato. This one I also remember sounded really good. I think it's tremendous that they've included so much tonal and textural diversity here, because like this is one of the strong points of this library. When you buy a sample library from a developer, typically it has a sound. Like you buy one library, that's its sound, and that's it. Nothing wrong with that. But that's like a developer goes out, they have a vision, they want to create the library, and you get that sound, and you buy it and you use it. But this one has so much scope. And I think that's why the price tag is, the full price is what it is, because there is just so many different things. So this is probably hands down, I can't think of any other library that, as a kind of a dedicated string sample library, is this diverse. So you're really getting several libraries with that single price. And again, granted, that's probably why it's as much as it is, but that is still the case. So really, if you're in the market for one library, I can't think of anything that would offer you this much scope, that's this much quality, this much diversity. And again, like this, I like this sound. It's a very different one to the ones we've heard so far. And what's really cool about this is also what we composers do with sample libraries is we layer things. And usually you buy this library and that library and combine them to create this sound that you're after. But you can do that with nothing but Afflatus or Afflatus. I don't know how to pronounce it. Why don't I know? I should know. But you can take this patch from here, that patch from there, and then you can combine them into new sounds. And that's really, really, really brilliant about this. But yeah, this is more of like simultaneously a focused, more slightly subdued, more hazy sound to this. Yeah, really cool. Heroine Strings Staccato. I do have to take a drink. I'm getting a horrible case of dry mouth here. We have been going for an hour already, so I dread how long this is going to take. Also, I'm getting a bit dizzy now, so if I'm flailing about and speaking things that are stranger than usual, I'm gonna blame it on the lightheadedness. Yeah, Heroine Strings Staccato. Let's pull the limiter handles this actually really well, but let's pull it down a bit to avoid clipping. Got this sound. This is already, I'm not even like halfway through the range. This sounds epic. What's wrong with my hands? It's cold. That's going to be my excuse. Kind of a strange transition here. We got this sharp spiccato, and then you hit these kind of blurred notes. But yeah, probably some kind of transitional part between, I don't know, cellos and violas. But the sound is really good. This top end it's perfect. I'm sorry about this playing. I think my blood sugars are dropping, so... Okay, that's enough shitty playing. Really solid low end, really solid top end. The mids get... This is really good. It's this octave that slightly less unfocused than these ones, but still sounding, I mean, stellar. We're really... how does the saying go? Picking... I don't know. Minor details, but like... That is a big, beautiful sound. Le Sacre. Why do I do this? Le Sacre Strings Tenuto. That sound is beautiful, beautifully balanced, beautiful imaging, so soft, so emotional. So soft, immersive, really kind of this lovely warm wash over you. Beautifully done. Pop low strings shorts. No more. I'm so sorry, my short note playing has really gone down the gutter. It's an interesting, very subdued sound, very specific. Pizzicato high E strings shorts. Listen to that texture, that imaging, that balance. That is so so refined, so mature, so balanced. Wow, that's a really a pleasure to work with. Pizzicato low strings shorts. Really nice. Again, a bit less focused than the high ones, but again, depends on what you're writing. Beautiful texture and imaging. Quartet Spiccato. That sounds beautiful. Beautiful sound. I love that it's a quartet. Like this is with so few instruments. Like this is very big, intimate sound simultaneously, which is really hard to do. Really amazing. Wow, these might generally be my favorite short notes for strings that I've played, and I have a lot of good ones. So it's it's a lot said. Red Army Strings, Marcato. Beautiful sound to it. Obviously you have to write accordingly to that articulation, but yeah, sounds stunning. Roof Chase Strings Spiccato. that sound is breathtaking. Like, everything here is just downright perfect. I should stop trying to play fast things because I think I'm genuinely too hungry to do that with shaky hands, so... That is beautiful. That might be like the new Spiccato that I'm gonna use. I don't even like feel like, oftentimes with a library you're like, okay, cool, it does this aspect perfectly, and if I layer it with this one, then I'll have a perfect sound for this. But with this, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just like, wow, let me write music with that. That is incredible. Shark Strings Legato. That low end sounds really, really good. Obviously, again, they've made that choice to combine these sounds like a piano with apparently cellos and basses. Beautiful sound. I would not use this higher end because it reminds me so much of like 90s, you know, like X-Files kind of soundtrack. Again, excellent music. Nothing wrong with that. I just don't go after that kind of a sound. But this low end has a really interesting texture. But again, I commend them for taking this approach like, hey, here's a sound, get inspired by it, start writing music. And I would personally, for my stuff, use this lower end because it has a beautiful combination of textures there. Shark Strings Marcato. Yeah, same stuff. Staccato. Yeah, same thing. Undercover string short. Really nice. If you're going for that sound, you want it kind of pre-baked. Nails that sound. Okay, vintage violas and cellos. I really did, if I remember correctly, like this a lot. So let's bump up this limiter. Beautiful tone. Again, the legato seems a bit more clunkier than some of the other ones, so let's try polyphonically something. Yeah, again there, you hear that the cycle for it is it becomes a bit too static, and the level really begins to affect the realism of it. I really would prefer to use this in a solo way, but the sound of it, the tone of it is beautiful. So here's a light. We're not gonna use that. Vintage Violin 1 and 2 legato. So let's check that out. Once it loads, pretty hefty patch. So a lot better sounding to me compared to the violas and cellos. This is especially this zone sounds really realistic to me, and the legato is far more realistic and smoother. Let's do some polyphonic stuff. There I'm kind of missing like a quieter dynamic. Go like really, because to me these sound super sensitive. Like they're very emotional, very sensitive. I'd really want to go down to a very low dynamic there. But hey, this tone is really great. And again, super inspiring. I'm already thinking about the cue that I'm writing, the music, the scene that I'm writing for. Like there, I wish it was, it went even like to a very quiet, sensitive dynamic level. It's actually very pleasant, beautiful to play. I wish it went a bit more quieter, but like, wow, instantly inspiring. Okay, so we went through the ensembles. Next up, we got violins, violas, blah, blah, blah. So the sections, then you have multi-patches here, which, again, yeah, apparently take from what we've done here before. You got chamber, first chair, harmonics, kind of this, these kind of same ones we did, Lush, Minimalist, so forth. I think in terms of demonstrating versatility here, and we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, we'll do experimental and we'll do pads, because there aren't a ton here. Well, apparently one. So experimental, then we'll jump into some of those ones in the individual folder. But I guess, no, I don't guess. Well, it's a kind of a half guess. These are just broken down so you can go into the individual sections and then use them. Although they apparently do have, I don't remember seeing chamber mentioned separately. So yeah, but experimental, angelic strings. So a very tasteful combination of what sounds like Freya stuff or similar, choir, female vocals with violins apparently. Yeah, very nice. Again, I would want to dig into the individual levels there to have more control. Very nice. I don't personally tend to go for these unless they precisely offer the balances that I'm after, but I can see how that can be of tremendous utility, and especially when you're looking for inspiration and if you want to put down ideas fast. I don't personally do that. I prefer to go from 0 to 100 and do everything. I'm really bad if I need to backtrack and, you know, undo something or toss something away and redo it. I prefer to do everything in quotes properly from the get-go. I don't mean that it's any better than the other approach. It's just a different approach. I like to do the final product at every single step. But yeah, Avantgarde Strings Staccato. It's an interesting texture tone to use. Avantgarde Strings Sustains. I actually really like that texture. Obviously, some of the transitions can be a bit rough, but really nice. Again, here, I wish it went to a very quiet dynamic because it would really, I think, suit that sound. But yeah, Indian strings. Again, inspiring, puts you in a certain mind space. What was I going to say? I don't know. Cool stuff. Middle East Strings. Let's bump up this. Not really in the keeping of the style. I'm looking for something I can't quite figure out what. Yeah, probably gonna write that track. So, yeah, super inspiring. Really well done. The realism on the legatos there, it feels really good. The feel is kind of same as the Wotan Freya, because you feel like it's not like, it doesn't feel super smooth at this end, but the results sound amazing, which is what matters. But it's kind of like I might be like the only person who like makes that observation. Well, probably not, but the feel is different to a lot of the other libraries that do a legato like super smooth, but this sounds like it but feels different, which just tells me that they're probably using a different technical approach. But next up, Pharaoh Strings. I don't know if I got that right, but let us drop this limiter. Cool stuff, yeah. Inspiring. Makes me write music. Limiter clipping. Really cool. I like that release sample of the pitch going downwards. Reminds me of some of the kind of Scandinavian horns, like war horns that they... I'm actually not sure if they're war horns, but a lot of, like, if you listen to Vardruna, beautiful, like, amazing band. Reminds me a lot of the stuff there, so I'm sold. So... Obviously, you wouldn't write very kind of chord intensive stuff with that because it's just not really made for that. But yeah, really cool sound. Massive. Oh no, more short notes. So these have kind of a diffusing type of a sound and a bit of a, like a ethnic strings, it says. Yeah, it sounds like there's a bit of a, like a ring in there. So useful, interesting texture to have in there. All right, experimental done. Pads only has one here, so we'll see how this is laid out. Okay, so in here you have apparently two different folders, sci-fi and fantasy, and in here you have quite a bit of choice. I'm actually super interested in hearing what these sound like, because it's not like, I haven't really heard anything like this from Strezov, so we'll have a listen. Okay, really interesting. So sound design pads by Lubomir. I'm sorry, I butchered your name. Goshev. Don't have the pronunciation for that. Yeah, really interesting stuff. I wonder how much, because you have some control here. You have texture, synth, perk. So yeah, a fair bit. Like, if you don't like some of the elements, you can turn them off. These are really well done. Obviously I've done only two, but the imaging, this is stunning. Really cool. So some actually pitched stuff in there as well. This is good stuff. You get a, like, when you open it up, you get a good sense of everything, which gives you a good, it tells you that it's really well designed. And then just turn off stuff depending on what you're aiming for. That sounds really cool. Let's do a couple of more here before I pass the fuck out. Getting pretty darn dizzy here. Unknown transmission. Yeah, that's super impressive. Really nice imaging, puts you in a beautiful place. It's pretty crazy that this is in here. It's just like an additional thing. Like with a lot of libraries, additional stuff is just kind of D tier. It's sort of on the side. But this shows no sign of that. This is really high quality. And then with, you know, I'm someone who prefers to not, like, if it's not good, leave it out. It clutters up my head and my hard drive. But this, like, before I talked about the scope and the diversity and the utility of this library, because you essentially have multiple string libraries in one. But this even makes the scope greater. I can't believe how good quality these are. Let's do Orbit. Yeah, cool. Let's do a few from Fantasy, Abandoned Castle. And again, if I didn't like texture, sometimes difficult to know what is in what layer, so like, I really like that. That's really well done. Druid Cult. Crazy. There's like, it's a string sample library, but then there's clearly a lot of stuff in here, so I don't know why they decided to include this. I'm happy they did, because the value increases tremendously, but it's you know, shows the commitment here. I wonder why none of these are on. Really beautiful. Like, this is really, I'm not like, what's the word? Overhyping this. These sound really, really good. Ghost Stories. Sorry about the clipping. These are very varied in level. Yeah, beautiful soundscapes. Really good job. Let's do Legend. Yeah, I bet all of these are pretty badass. Cool. Okay, I think that's enough for that. We're approaching the 1 hour 45 mark. So let us jump into a few of these, and let me do some of the ones that I don't think we bumped into yet. So let's do Chamber Violins Spiccato. really beautiful. I love the chamber sound. It's a big sound, but an intimate one. These are really... These just sound, like, to me and my taste, so perfect. Like, ready to go. I don't have any, you know, qualms or anything to really change about that. So these are probably my go-to spiccatos from now on. They sound so good. Chamber violins. I'll see if these, well, I assume these would be sustained notes. So legato. So let's test this out. Pull down this limiter. Okay, the legato is really good here. Like, slight snippets there that I would change. But again, like my playing, sometimes you get that beautiful transition. And I think it's simply me not knowing what exactly triggers it. And I'm playing a bit sluggishly. But this is, ooh, so good. Yeah, that's why I don't polyphonically like to do these, because the level will be consistent. Whereas I would do the, let's say, the fundamental note here a lot quieter. So that affects the realism with the polyphonic for me a lot. Hey, this is this is so good. Like, I was so excited to do this today, but I was like trying not to have too many expectations, but I'm genuinely blown away by this far more than I expected. Let's check out first chair violin legato. What? I was not expecting to. Obviously, we had the quartet, which was kind of like solo instruments, but I wasn't expecting to hear this. Let me try and find a good level for this. Yeah, this is just getting better and better. This is really good. This is what more of this is what I'm hoping for some of the legato patches that we did. Obviously, some of them were pretty much perfect. Some of them were better than others. Some of them, to my taste, need work. This is really nice to play. Some of the changes are maybe a bit too much glide in there. Hard to say how much of that is the programming and how much the sampling stylistic of it, but yeah, I mean, if they can do this, then they can certainly do what my taste would yearn for some of the ones we talked about. But this is really nice. beautiful tone. I don't have this kind of a, it says concertmaster solo. This is very, very aching, romantic, very beautiful sound. Okay, I gotta stop because I'm gonna play that all day otherwise. That's really nice. Beautiful sound, very inspiring. Again, like they're nailing the how do you say it? The nail on the head? Hitting the nail on the head, I guess. Yeah, inspiring, puts me in a specific mind space, and that's really nice. I gotta check out the Spiccato. Definitely less dynamic range here. Sound is a bit boxy, but again, it's the good thing about it is it gives you different texture. You can easily EQ, to my ear, the taste of, and again, the boxiness is relative to everything else that is in there, so it's kind of like, is it going to be stylistically something that enhances the experience or trouble? But so it doesn't go super loud. But it's going to give that very unique sound and texture, which you can then layer, bit of EQ. That's going to be wonderful. Harmonic Violins I Legato. I love harmonic stuff, so... Again here, the dynamic doesn't go super low, and especially with harmonics, I'm really always wishing for those quietest harmonics. So this doesn't quite go there. You can work around it with volume, because sometimes it's, as long as the texture is good, you won't notice, but sometimes you will. But as you can see, I was really staying at the low end because I really didn't want to push for that kind of a part, the dynamics anymore. So I would be writing the volume for that. Really interesting, kind of a whistly sound. I wonder how much of that is coming from the portamento, from the engine of the Contact, but I actually really like that. It has a really unique texture and tone to it, how it behaves. Sort of like, I don't know, whistly is what I'm thinking. So yeah, that's good stuff. Impressionist trills. So it's cool that it does that, you know, that established note in relation to the trill itself, that it stays. That's not really, can't think of anyone who does that. But yeah, nice. There's a bit of like jankiness in the transitions. But a bit of that was my playing before. Like, as long as you're in time properly, Marcus, then it's fine. You have to stay within the octave also, apparently. A bit of level fluctuation there, not to a troubling degree, and actually gives it a bit of a actually realism and spice. So that's cool. Lush we did, Minimalist we did, Mysterious Violins, I don't think we did these. I think I remember these from some of the videos I saw. Beautiful tone, beautiful texture, beautifully the imaging, the balance. That is wonderful. Again, a good example of the polyphonic legato working really well. Again, I would even individually want to control the level of these notes, because it's a huge factor in the realism. So I would just probably take 4 instances of these and break down the sections, and then I can control the level better. But this sounds really good. I love the tone of that. It's so soft, inviting, very, very nice. I think we did some of these. Just going to try and pick the ones that we haven't touched on. Again, Violins II, kind of like a different take on the Violins I. Obviously gives you a different texture. I'm not a huge necessarily find the utility there. Sometimes the texture is different. Sometimes it's good for one thing and less great for something else. I guess after stating that, we should probably check out at least some of it. So Chamber Violins II. So oftentimes the second violins have a more of a boxy quality, at least in sampling. I don't know why that is, probably the position. But yeah, there's a number of ways of doing second violins as well, by tweaking the first ones, which is more often my preferred way. I'm not gonna comment whether this does it better or worse, because we don't have the time here. So I'm not saying it's good or bad here. I just, for the sake of time, not gonna dig into that. I'll play the Lush Violins II here. yeah, again, a bit sort of more boxed and mid-focused. Again, like, I kind of regret not playing more faster things with this legato, because this is one of the best sounding fast legato playing sounds that I've heard. So, you know, do keep that in mind, and hopefully some of the parts demonstrated that. But yeah, really, really cool. Let's see if we have any different ones here. Pretty much the same catering. Let's do Minimalist Violas legato. Just do a tiny peek here and there. Nice, soft, I'd say pretty much perfectly sort of slightly, not subdued, what is the word? Kind of hazy there. That's gonna blend very nicely with violins. Really, really pleasant. Violin, cello. Let's do chamber. Again, here you can hear more of that kind of jankiness between the legatos. That tends to be the case pretty much always as you go lower to the range, especially with basses. But here you can sort of hear that kind of tugging. You can hear it in the beginning of the notes, kind of that tug in the level. Yeah, it's there in the full range. I really like the quiet texture, quiet dynamic on the cello there. Really pleasant. And again, that kind of that tugging, like depending on the piece, the style you're writing in could be perfectly fine, especially for that kind of more romantic sound. It can be, especially with those violins and violas where I at least here in the chamber patches didn't hear that. It might be inaudible, might stylistically favor the sound, but again, it's kind of like, obviously it would be better to have the control of that than not, but Minimalist cellos legato. Really liking this sound. that sound is so beautiful. I probably will use the Minimalist stuff a lot. That is so pleasantly soft, emotional. And again, like once I do the lines individually, it will sound stunning. Wow. That's pretty much all I can say. Did I do Violins Minimalist Legato? I don't remember if I did. Again, there, I wish there was a bit less dynamic range here at the top, because it kind of begins to push more than add textural difference, which again, you could do with level, and then here in the low, just a slightly quieter tone. But that is stunning, 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 stunning. I love that sound. Okay, bass is left. Have we broken the 2-hour mark? Yes, we have. This was a hefty boy. This video, but so is the library. So let us do Bartok Basses. Wow. I bet not many people have used that in that way. I'm a drummer, so I like to use a lot of this stuff in that kind of a way. That's kind of fun. Not a lot of pitch to be detected, obviously, but that's kind of the point of the expression or the articulation. Let's do first chair bass legato. What will that sound like? So super interesting. The top end of it gets a bit kind of wobbly in the realism section. This kind of the mid of the bass itself, really nice. This is really unique. I don't think ever bumped into a first chair bass legato patch. It's probably among the best ones I've heard. Oftentimes the basses in legato overall get kind of mushy, pushy, sort of flaky, but this actually sounds really good. Tremendous amount of dynamic range. This is super quiet going to the low end. I don't know how much of that is like level control within Kontakt, how much is sampled. Some of the jumps here are a bit aggressive, happen sort of fast. It is, you can still do a smooth transition, but the space you have to do that in is pretty narrow. But I'm super impressed by this actually even being here, and it sounds really good. I could absolutely write parts for that, and that's really cool because you could be tempted to do cello stuff for that here. Obviously you can't go as low, but in this sort of a range you might you know, do that, but gives you a different texture, might work better for a part that you're doing. Let's do Lush Basses Legato. Really like that. Good amount of that top end grit and texture, because it really helps that part poke out through the mix without, like, oftentimes the temptation could be intuitively to add the bass to make the bass sound louder, but it's really those harmonics and that top end information that help your ear and brain hear what the bass is doing. You don't need more bass, you probably actually need less of it. This is really good, really lovely how they did this. I'm like continuously surprised by what's in here, because sometimes you're like, oh, you know, what is this going to sound like? And then it's like a strong suit of the library, and there's just stuff in here, so much to offer. It just keeps surprising me, which is super inspiring and impressive. And in these folders you have stuff that is specific to the section or the instrument, which is really, really cool. There's just so much scope to this. Minimalist Basses Legato. Really nice. Obviously extremely soft sounding. I love that. But if you're writing those kind of parts, that is a stunning, tremendous amount of dynamic range. Really, really nice. I like that you can go really quiet. Yeah. We have something called spider basses here. That's going to be super cool for sound design stuff. What I think they're doing is someone's tapping the fingers on the body of the bass. But you know, you can give that sound distortion, for example, and it's going to do really crazy sounding stuff. So really cool. I love that they've included this here. Really cool. Okay, trailer basses. Just adjusting the limiter here, this gets very loud. Yeah, super big, super meaty, big sound. Let's actually do some dynamics on that. very extended dynamic range in the low end. I'd love if it went super aggressive at the end, just like for that added grit. Then we have warrior basses as well. So low strings, timpani, and shouts. So again, a combined patch with Wotan shouts. I recognize those. Bit of percussion and Bartok low strings or something like that. Yeah, cool. If that immediately inspires you, I'd again prefer to break it down into individual sections, but you know, each to their own. Just gonna dive in the cellos here to see whether, yeah, I didn't miss anything crazy. Okay, well, that is it. This is probably the longest demo I've ever done. 2 hours and 15 minutes or thereabout. Yeah, pretty blown away. Again, I'm probably gonna be a broken record here, but super impressed. I love how inspiring it is, how surprising it is. Like I said, the scope of it is immense. It's several string sample libraries rolled into one and more. I really can't believe they have the sound design, the pad elements there and all that. It's just like after every corner when I thought I knew what this was, there's more stuff and more stuff. So, and just the fact, like, even if you did basic string stuff with this, you could just layer so many of these on top of one another and arrive at a wider range of different textures. So yeah, super impressed. I hope this video has been of utility to you. I know it's long, I talk quite a bit, and I have sluggish playing, but I don't know if there's any videos like this out there, so hopefully this helps you make an educated guess or educated decision on whether this is for you. I personally highly recommend this, and as always, I'm not paid to say this. I will never say anything out of payment. They did send me this copy, and again, thank you for Strezov Sampling for doing that. But all opinions are my own. This is really stunning, and although I've had this in the back of my head for years, ever since it came out, never had the cash or the courage to pull the trigger on this, and largely because some of the demos out there haven't really been the videos out there, I should say, on YouTube haven't really given me a good idea of the scope. So I'm hoping this kind of helps you do that. But super surprised, super inspired. I can't wait to use this, and hands down, like these are the best spiccato kind of short note string samples that I've ever heard. And again, I'm just blown away by the diversity here. It's just the scope is insane. So there is the sale going on right now. If you happen to be watching this, and if you made it again to the end of this video to hear this, but about half price, I believe, just under 400 euros plus VAT if you pay VAT. Knowing now what's in here, I think that's a very tremendous offer. You don't need to look around much to see the prices on other string sample libraries, and comparing this to most of what's out there, just the scope of the offering here is pretty crazy. So a fan of this, highly recommend it. Go check it out. Again, thank you Strezov Sampling for sending me this. I'm a huge fan, and I think that about wraps it up. The sale is going for, was it 6th of January 2023. So that's how much time you have to make a educated decision. Okay, I think that's it for this video. If it was useful, interesting, let me know in the comments. Yeah, I'm gonna go and write some music with this. So that's it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Take care. Stay safe. See you next time. Finished.